It definitely will. But I was going to say, speaking of the quarterbacks, Coach Tom was obviously asked about both of those guys, right? In terms of Mason Haskins, even was asked about Ben. And essentially in his response, he said that they're operating under the full assumption and belief that Ben will be retiring. That's what Coach Tomlin said in terms of how they are addressing this all season. So even though Ben hasn't officially made the announcement, like we said on Monday, Coach Tomlin and them are already moving forward that Ben is not coming back. That's where they're at with it. That's what he has said, but not in a fired sense, just in a retirement sense. So let's keep it nice, keep it sweet. But when he was asked about Mason and Haskins, essentially he said that both of those guys have done enough that they deserve a chance to compete for the starting quarterback spot. Coach Tomlin also talked about potentially drafting a quarterback or going through free agency, but he was asked multiple times in terms of would they be willing to trade for quarterbacks? And he was not trying to go that route. And to me, that was a little interesting because when we've been talking about how we are planning to replace Ben this all season, people bring up trade a lot, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, John Blank on a couple other names.
Rodgers,
right? So it's like we hear these names and we know we'd have to trade for them. But Coach Tomlin, like I said, man, he was not like adamantly against it, but he was, he made sure that he did not speak on trading anything for a quarterback. And initially I was like, dang, dude, like, might be a market for some of these guys. But the other side of me was like, I like this approach. And I'll just say for me personally, to get an elite quarterback, Rodgers, Wilson, you're going to have to give up multiple first round picks.
4, probably.
I don't want to give up multiple first round picks for any of those dudes personally, man, because it kills what you're trying to do, building a roster after that. And you put all your eggs in both of those baskets. We know what Rodgers is, 37, I think it is, 37, 38.
38, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm like, with Wilson, we understand, he's coming off of the injury, and he definitely played better afterwards, but he's still not, 25, 26 either.
33, maybe, yeah. 32, 33.
So I'm just not a fan of giving up that much draft capital when you're talking about the type of players you can acquire. So I did like that. But then the other part, I was kind of like,
maybe he's just being smart about it too. Because if he says, oh, yeah, we're looking to trade, then who knows what type of rumors.
But I think everybody knows that they're in the market, though. Everybody knows they're in the market for a quarterback.
Because he did hint, though, saying all options are available. All options
he said all options are available. And then when he's like, trade stuff, no, I'm not mentioning that. Like, but then I asked myself, if I'm not trading for an elite guy, the 3 guys we just named, I don't necessarily want to give up draft picks for Derek Carr. I don't want to give up picks for Jimmy G, because any of those guys, when you're talking about trading for a starting quarterback, a QB1, it's a first round pick minimum. That's like the baseline for that. And I just don't want to do that. I really don't, man. I think that I weigh that risk reward element of it. I would much rather go rookie quarterback and have great talent around him than commit to one of those mid-tier quarterbacks who are still QB1, would still be an upgrade than what we currently have, but they're not to the point where they can just elevate everybody on the field like one of those franchise quarterbacks can. That's kind of where I stood with it, man. So, like I said, I wasn't against the no trade. I kind of like that part. But the other part was, like I said, man, like, where do we draw that line of who would we be willing to go for? But where do you stand on that, man?
It's interesting because someone asked me about this in the Twitch stream yesterday about trading for a quarterback. And I share a similar sentiment. It's like, okay, we're going to have to trade a bunch of picks, and that's going to hurt our rebuild or even getting our team to where we think it could be. Because I just mentioned, I think we could have a pretty damn good team with our draft picks and our free agency space. Because another thing with trading for a quarterback, that's going to hurt our cap space this year.
Yes, because they're going to have the contracts already. Yeah, they already have the contracts.
Outside, Derek Carr's, I think he's at 20.
He wants a new deal, though.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. If you're trading for either Carr or Jimmy G, you're going to have to pay them a multi-year deal. I mean, Carr might be in the $40 million range.
Say they're bare minimum 30.
I think Jimmy G might be in the high 20s, but I think Carr's 40. Yeah. I mean, if Dak Prescott's getting a $40 million deal.
Jimmy G is one more win in the playoffs away from being $30 million, bro.
Probably, yeah.
That's where he's at. He's taking the team to a Super Bowl. He's won multiple games. Bro. Like, that's where he's at right now, man.
Well, they might just keep him. Maybe they're trading Trey Lance. I don't know.
Yeah. Which would be crazy too, right?
That would be. That'd be absolutely nuts.
I mean, what about Jordan Love?
I don't want him.
Would you move him though?
If you're Green Packers, I don't know what his market is.
Shit, I don't know either, man.
They drafted him with the first round.
Yeah.
Pick.
But Rodgers about to go back-to-back MVP.
I wouldn't be willing to give up more than like a third or fourth round pick for him.
But it's first round pick from a year ago.
I know.
You know they ain't happening.
Maybe they just keep him then. Maybe they keep him. So yeah, the same sentiment of we're trading draft picks that are going to hurt our team.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, there's something to be said. You just got, top 5 or 6 quarterback in the league.
Right,
so like if we made the trade, let's just be real, I'd be pumped about it. If we got one of the studs.
Mm-hmm.
But
then we would complain in terms of, man, why we can't get a stop here?
How does
why this guy right here?
Right. Well, then how does that look 3-4 years down the line? Too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How does that look 3-4 years down the line? So, yeah, I can go back and forth with it all day.
Yeah.
The interesting part about, you said rookie quarterback. Do you also lump Haskins and Mason into that?
No. So
because there is a difference with them being on a 1-year deal.
Deals,
if either of them play good, all of a sudden we got to pay them next year. Whereas a rookie,
you got 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years on a borderline cheap contract. Yeah. Well, where we're drafting, that would actually be pretty cheap. Like Baker's contract right now, because he was the number 1 overall pick, really sucks for the Browns.
Yes.
Even though they're not giving him the extension,
right, it
still kind of blows. You're paying him almost like $20 million against the cap.
Yeah,
especially with how he's played. Dude, I go back and forth. Like, there's so many options.
Because then I say to myself, do you go with the mid-tier guys, right? We talked about before, your Gardner Minshew. I see him coming up in the chat a couple of times. Tyrod Taylor, shout out to Finn Jim for that one, bringing up my dog Tyrod. But we've seen those like mid-tier guys as well, and that's the other alternative. It's like, do you go that route and go high end around them? But even those guys, I still feel like they're priced more than I necessarily want to pay, but at the same time,
if you're paying Fitzpatrick $10 million, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, like I don't want to pay
if
those
it's
guys
5,
that.
Sure,
but I don't think they're coming for that though. You know what I mean?
You're
like,
probably right.
Yeah, just based on the quarterback market, and they know the same information we got. They know the cap went up, and they gonna know, hey, that team needs a quarterback. I'm not gonna just sign for the crumb when I know the cap went up and they need this position. So, oh gosh, we are in a bad spot, bro.
You don't want to spend the first round pick on a quarterback because that feels like a waste if you're drafting a first round quarterback and having this competition with
and we feel
a
like
guy that already has a ton of upside in Haskins.
And we already feel like next year's quarterback class is the class that you want anyways. That's the one that you want. So that's why I'm like, find me a bridge guy this year. Or if you feel like you got to go Mason and Haskins, but you just soup up everything else around them. And then we know, hey, we're going to move and do whatever we got to do to get one of those quarterbacks coming out next year, whether you're talking CJ Stroud, was it Bryce Young? I forgot the other dude's name.
Not Rattler. No. I'm already saying no Rattler.
Well, I hear you on that, but the talent is there. It's no different. The same way. Think about this. Think about this, right? If I say Dwayne Haskins, you're still going to do what? You want to see him this year, right?
I want Haskins.
Okay.
Haskins
but think about it, though, right? Think about it. Not because of what he's done on the field, just the potential. The talent. Spencer Rattler is the exact same concept, bro. No. Stop.
But in college, they are both way more of a stud.
No. But they're both potential based. And with Haskins, just like a lot of Ohio State quarterbacks in the recent history, the question always is it the talent around them or is it them being that good? Because when you look at these Ohio State quarterbacks, that's been the real debate about them. Your JT Barrett, your Terrell Pryors, right? We could even take it back to Troy Smith when he was a quarterback Heisman Trophy winner. Shoot, what was the Cordell Jones? Yeah. Like those are 4 first-round caliber, and some variety dogs at the collegiate level. And at the NFL, none of those dudes have done anything.
My point is, I just feel like there's a difference between struggling and the league versus college.
Fair, okay.
Because Trevor Lawrence struggled this year, and I would trade for him immediately. Zach Wilson, even too. Like they never struggled.
Zach Wilson,
no, I'm just saying, bro. No, I'm just saying they haven't struggled to the degree that Rattler has, and just in college.
Okay,
and college should be.
But it was only this year though, because last year he was a Heisman faithful. Like, people were projecting him to be a Heisman hopeful, a top draft pick. So we're only talking about a one.
And it's not even being the next Mahomes,
right? And it wasn't even a full season sample size. We're talking about essentially what 4 games before they made the switch.
I'm just out on him. I could be wrong. Hopefully for his sake, he proves me wrong on that, but I'm just out on Rattler. To your point, though, I mean, if you throw him in the mix, there's probably 2 or 3 other guys that mock draft that I looked at last podcast had quarterbacks in the top like 15.
No, absolutely, dude. Like next year's class is supposed to be way better than this year's class, and that's why for me, I'm like, I don't want to be committing multiple draft picks because that's not just going to affect this year. That's going to affect next year because we're going to have to give it, like you said, prerequisite for any trading for any starting quarterback in this league is minimum 1 first round pick, minimum. And we know the higher end we go, the more picks is going to be. I just don't want to do that when we know we got options a year from now.
Oh, right, for sure. And some of these dudes could be studs.
No, absolutely,
like Bryce Young,
bro.
On a rookie deal. You saw what Mac Jones did. I mean, the Patriots drafted him 15, and they had a nice team around him. You got a good coach in Belichick. You got a good support system, and they were relevant this year. Unfortunately for them, they got smoked by your Bills.
It happens.
They got smoked, but they're in that process of kind of rebuilding after the Brady era, and I think we could do that with a young quarterback, whether it's Haskins. I'll throw Mason in there. I don't really think it's going to be Mason or any of these rookie quarterbacks too. Potentially next year. And that's why I don't know if I want to this year. I mean, people talking about Pickett. Like, how much better is Pickett than Haskins?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
He could be much better. He could be much better. But Haskins coming out, probably a better prospect than Pickett.
Yeah.
He just had the couple years in the NFL that we actually saw that kind of brings the negativity around him. But with how he did this year, just in terms of staying out of the limelight, no negative press, Tomlin was impressed by him. He had the good preseason. Like, I think he has just as good a chance to win a competition if we drafted Pickett anyway. Now, so it's just like, what's the point?